for the full words you taught us. We thank the mentors of our house, our personal guardian angels, for all the enlightenment they give us, for all the help they give us to get us here, even with our daily problems, even with family problems, cars that break down, people who are too slow driving in front of us. Every day, every Sunday, there are 1,000 obstacles, but we are still here. We overcome all the obstacles, all the little things in life to be here. And we thank our spiritual friends for the help they give us in order for us to accomplish this objective. Only 1 hour on a Sunday is not enough to practice what we learn, but it's more than enough to learn what we need to practice. May this meeting be blessed. So all right, so we're going to talk about the virtue of the month, of course. Yeah, so we're going to talk about love. Right? Do we all love?
We all love, but not all the time.
Okay, we're gonna discuss that too. So we're gonna start with a beautiful passage from Matthew 22, 34 to 40. But when the Pharisees heard that he had silenced the Sadducees, they gathered together. Then one of them, a lawyer, asked Jesus a question, testing him and saying, "Teacher, which is the great commandment in the law?" Jesus said to him, "You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the first and great commandment. And the second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. On these 2 commandments hang all the law and the prophets." Right? So we had heard about this passage, at least in Portuguese. Now you have it in English. Ta-da! Now, let's try and think about a few questions. First, what is to love your neighbors? What's the meaning? Love your neighbors as yourself. What is to love my neighbor? You don't have to answer me. Think about it, and we're going to try to answer these questions. Are we able to love our neighbors? Yes.
English question.
Yeah,
Neighbors has the same meaning in English than próximo?
Próximo, yes.
Okay, not just the guy living near you.
Not just like Albert Glenn.
No. It's not Auburn Meadows, Auburn Glen, Auburn.
It's mahogany.
Yeah, no, we don't. They're not even our neighbors. Why would they love them, right? So,
People in North.
so it's in Portuguese,
Okay.
it's amar ao próximo, como assim mesmo.
But it's
So,
the same meaning.
yes, it is. Because in Portuguese, próximo can be an adverb of proximity, or it can be a noun, substantivo, o próximo. But in English, next is only an adverb. It cannot be a noun. So you can say, if you say the next what, right? So are we able to love our neighbors? Are we able to love them as ourselves? Are we able to love them under a few conditions, maybe? If their dogs don't pee on our lawns, right? If the people who live in the Northeast don't say that the South is too far, are we able to love them unconditionally? Remembering that our neighbor, we're also talking about our families, our partners in life, boyfriend, girlfriend, anybody that not ourselves is our neighbor. Family or not family. Can we develop this virtue of love? Is it actually possible to love our neighbors as ourselves? What is stopping us or slowing us down? And how we develop this virtue? If we're not there yet, do we think we're there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet?
Where are they? I need to confirm.
So if we're not there yet, how do we get there? How do we develop the virtue of love? And we're talking love.
You tell us. You're
What?
not at this.
Do you see a halo here?
I
Do you see wings?
I do.
I am just like everybody else sitting there. Only difference that yesterday I spent hours preparing this presentation. My mistakes are the same as everybody else. We're all on the same boat. I'm sorry to disappoint you. We're all on the same boat. And if you volunteer for the doctrinal team, you can be here too, right?
Hard work.
Only difference is that we work really hard. But that's the only difference. Only difference is that while I'm preparing, I can list all my mistakes. The only difference is that I do it sooner than anybody else. No other. So let's see another passage of the Bible. And now we are gonna, oh, I didn't write. Now, 85% of this presentation was taken from the book Parábolas Terapêuticas, the first one, and it's the third chapter. They call it Parable of the House, a Parábola da Casa. It's just a short passage that we're gonna see now. And the way Alírio develops the idea is awesome. From the, I don't know how he got so much from a few lines, but he always does, right? So, this passage is in Matthew chapter 10, verses 12 and 13. And this is when Jesus is sending his disciples, he's sending the apostles to preach all over Galilee. And this is one of the instructions he gives to the apostles. And when you go into a household, greet it. If the household is worthy, let your peace come upon it. But if it's not worth it, let your peace return to you. In the book Parábolas Terapêuticas, free translation, Therapeutic Parables, Alírio says, this recommendation by Christ is the essence of unconditional Christian love. Say what? So let's go back. Whoops. No, not that. Okay, so, and when you go into a household, greet it. If the household is worthy, let your peace come upon it. But if it's not worthy, let your peace return to you. And Alírio says that this is the essence of unconditional Christian love. How? How can this possibly summarize unconditional love? Any ideas? When I read this specific sentence, I started to realize that maybe we don't truly understand what love is. There's a good chance we're missing something here, right? And now we're gonna understand. Usually, because of our egotistic negativities, we want to offer our love and our peace to others conditionally, with the objective of receiving something in retribution. Right? So here come the conditions. I'll love you if you love me back. I'll love you if you cook and clean and whatever. I'll love you if you give me a diamond ring and a beautiful house. I'll love you if you buy me those awesome Jimmy Choo shoes. Yes. You will love me if I make poutine. I'm always on the same boat.
Yeah.
You will only love me if I make poutine.
Not only, but you live more.
Oh, okay. So it's like sub-condition. It's not really a condition.
Well, without poutine, I would like you a lot. Yes.
Okay. So exactly, you're getting to the point. This is what we do. We want to love with conditions. We want to receive something back. Is that truly love? And this is amazing. Love is made of two movements. Giving and receiving. Hold on, didn't I just say that you can't love expecting for something back? I just said that you cannot love expecting something back. And now Alirio says that it's two movements, giving and receiving. But now let's understand. When we offer love to someone who is not worthy of, of our love, this love, because it's an energy, when it does not find reciprocity, when I love someone who does not love me or who is not worthy of my love, this energy will indirectly benefit the person because I am sending something good. However, if they're not worthy, or if they don't love me back, this energy comes back to the original source. So when it says in the passage, let your peace return to you. If the house is not worthy, let your peace return to you. Because the energy never gets lost. This is why we must not worry about receiving love back from someone else. Because if we give it, and the other person doesn't give it back, or is not worthy of our love, it will come back to us. Isn't that awesome? So why do we worry so much if others love us? Why do we worry so much that I'm doing so much for that person and they don't do anything back? If we are truly doing it from our hearts, they don't need to give it back. It will come back to us. Our own energy of love will come back to us. That is the most comforting thing ever. However, if we offer love to someone worthy of our love, when it finds receptivity, it echoes, it reverberates in the other. It potentiates with the other's love and returns to us more potent. You agree, right? If the household is worthy, let your peace come upon it. Thus, our love grows even more and makes us happy. So if we love and we don't get it from the other person, no worry. It's just going to benefit the person and come back to us as the same amazing energy. If it finds reciprocity, If the person has the same love for us, for people, and we're not talking about romantic love, please, it's going to potentiate, it's going to grow, and it will come back our own and theirs together.
Have you read or have you seen the book like for children, the Invisible Bucket?
Have you filled your bucket?
Have you filled? Yeah, this one.
We did activities with the kids with that book.
Yeah, because it's pretty much that, and it's in like a language appropriate for children,
And there's a read out loud of this book on YouTube. So if you want to look for it, have you filled a bucket today? But some people were here and you saw the kids made a little red bucket and they filled their friends' buckets. And
so it pretty much takes empathy, like if you're feeling sad.
yeah, we did it. We did it when we talked about compassion. Therefore, it is worth it to develop unconditional love for our neighbors, because this way we will be always giving and receiving, whatever the circumstances may be. Right? So, doesn't matter. We are always giving and receiving, even if it's just our own, or if it's potentiated by whoever we're sending the energy to. Yes.
If your neighbor sending you hate, the feeling of hate, and you can sending love to him or to them, you can broke this situation, because you can love and you can do anything, but if your neighbor still can hate you.
Okay, we go back to, I'll answer with another question. Can we change anybody? Can we control anybody? As much as we would love to. No, no. Mainly feelings. We cannot control how other people feel toward us. Can we control how we behave, how we feel, how we react? Plus, when we stop to think about it, what are we doing here? Incarnated, right now. What are we doing here?
Seeking for our relative happiness.
How do we get there? That's the final objective. But how do we get there? What are we doing here that will take us there?
Practicing our virtues.
Yeah, we are trying to evolve, right? Can we make someone evolve with us? Think about it as a path you're walking. You walk on your own pace. You can try to drag someone behind you, to push someone in front of you, or to walk beside the person. But in the end, who gets more tired? Whoever is trying to control the person who is walking with us. Because we are more worried about their rhythm than ours. We cannot influence how other people think or do or feel, but we can do our part. And that is for our own evolution. Right? So our neighbor can hate us as much as they want. That does not interfere in our own evolution. What interferes in our evolution is how we're going to react to their hate. We're going to give back in the same currency, or we're going to use a different currency. Compassion, indulgence. You missed the questions in the beginning. I'll even go back because those questions are very interesting. So, what is to love our neighbors? Are we able to love our neighbors Are we able to love them as ourselves? Maybe under a few conditions, unconditionally? Can we develop the virtue of love? And is it actually possible to love our neighbors as much as we love ourselves? What is stopping us or slowing us down from loving them? And how do we get there? So what you asked me is related to those questions. Like, how do I get there? How do I love my neighbor as myself if they hate me? What they choose, how they use their free will is completely their problem. The law of cause and effect is for everybody. Responsibility, freedom, all the laws are for everybody individually. There are no strings attached. There are no conditions. Oh, no worries. We all ask ourselves those questions all the time. Okay, so it's worth it to develop unconditional love. Beautiful theory. Okay, because then in Matthew 7:12, Jesus says, so in everything, do to others what you would have them do to you. For this sums up the law and the prophets. Right? Are we good? Can we start moving?
Moving to where?
To the New Spirit Center. We're done. We're finished, right? Because when we say it's worth it to develop unconditional love, we know everything we need to know.
Exactly.
Are all those questions answered?
Yeah.
This is the theory we know in our heads. This is what we repeat all the time. Is it what we do? You don't have to transfer. You raise your hands. It's a question for our consciences to answer. Are we really working towards it? So the biggest exercise that we can do in this world is to love our neighbors as ourselves by doing to them what we would like them to do to us. And you can keep giving me chocolate, Moa, no problem. Even though you don't want chocolate, I do.
No, I can't give chocolate
Yes.
for others. Yeah.
For my clients, no.
So this is the biggest exercise. This is the biggest exercise we can do. However, a lot of people completely distort these Christian principles. And because of this theory, we all know this theory. But some people, I'm not talking us, maybe some of us do, but I'm talking the world in general. What do some people do? They completely change things around and they believe that they must love their neighbors. It's an obligation because Jesus says, the Bible says, God says, everybody says, I gotta do it. I have to love my neighbors. And that becomes an obligation. And that's where we go wrong. Because when we see it as an obligation, and it's not a result of self-conscience, we end up in the process, a lot of people, and we know many of them, a lot of people end up canceling themselves. Because they think that they're supposed to love our brothers and sisters and do everything, so they abandon, not literally, but psychologically abandon their families because they have to do charity. I have to help. I'm out of the house doing charity all the time because I have to love my neighbor. I have to love my neighbor. Is that real feeling? Or is that an anxiety because we know we're not doing what we're supposed to do? So we want to go and do it fast and get done with it.
I think it's almost like trying to buy a place.
It is. It's exactly what it is. It's a bargain with God. We're bargaining with God. I'll do a lot of charity. You save me, right, buddy? That's not love. That's not a feeling. That's doing something. There are good intentions, no question about it. The people who receive the charity, they are benefited from it. So we're not saying stop charity. That's not the point. The point is that there are good intentions with good direction and good intentions with bad direction. When I do charity, when I do, when I help, when I, fight with my partner because I'm never home because I'm helping someone else or something, when it gets to that point, I need to ask myself, are my good intentions well-directed or ill-directed? Because we might have the best intentions in the world, but if we're not doing it for the right reasons, it doesn't really count.
Don't you think like maybe that can be a start? Like people start from the outer world, and then it can kind of transform.
As long as you develop your self-conscious, as long as down the road you finally understand the right reasons for doing it. But some people they just are on automatic. They just go and do and go and do and go and do. And the bad direction is the bargain. They don't do it because of noble feelings. They do it because they're bargaining. And because they're anxious, because they know they don't really love their neighbor, so maybe this will compensate. Holy cow, Mr. Babatz. In order to follow Jesus' golden rule, do unto others as you would have others do unto you, we need to develop our conscience. I just mentioned this question, I'm sure nobody knows the answer. Where is the law of God inscribed? Da-da. In the conscience. And then question A. Since man carries the laws, sorry, I was dictating to the computer at 2 a.m. and it wasn't helping me. Since man carries the laws of God in his conscience, where was the need of revealing it to him? Yes, Otávio. He had forgotten and misunderstood it. The misunderstanding part is good intention, bad direction. You do it, but for the wrong reasons. This is the misunderstanding. God willed that it should be recalled to his memory. During the process of evolution, when we cultivate the egotistic issues, matters, subjects, instead of the essential ones, we go into a temporary state of unconsciousness, characterized by the numbing of our own conscience, because it never ceases. You know, numbing? É amortecer, dormir. Thanks. Because our conscience, and then it says, because it never ceases, our conscience never stops to exist. It never ceases. But what we do is, we give it. Como é que chama aquele cão? Onde foi? Rivotril. We give it Rivotril and say, you stay there, close the door, and I will go take care of everything that I need, live all my passions, all the material things that I have ahead of me, thinking that that's what's going to make me happy. But we don't want to listen to our conscience. We say, shut up and stay there. Spirit's book, question 785. What is the greatest obstacle to progress?
Pride and selfishness.
We all know, right?
Yeah.
Orgulho e egoísmo, as grandes chagas da humanidade. So, pride and selfishness are the greatest obstacles to progress. And then, in question 913, Kardec asks, which among the vices may be regarded as the root of the others? And as you can see, these are in two different sections of the Spirit's book. And the Spirits go back. Selfishness, as we have repeatedly told you. Já não te falei?
Porra.
Right? Like our moms say, how many times do I have to tell you? Right? So selfishness, as we have already repeatedly told you. For it is from selfishness that everything evil proceeds. Everything evil comes from selfishness. It's a pretty long answer, and we're going to read the whole thing, just so you know. Be prepared. Study all the answer. Study all the vices, and you will see that selfishness is at the bottom of them all. So all the vices can be traced back to selfishness. They're all connected to selfishness. Combat them as you will never succeed in extirpating them until attacking the evil in its root. You have destroyed the selfishness, which is their cause. Okay? So we can fight all the vices we have. Hate, pride, everything. But we will never really win the battle until we have beaten selfishness.
I have a question.
Yeah. Don't know if I have the answer, but let's go.
Okay. That pride thing, you can see on two different points, in my perspective. Okay? So you can see a pride that I'm a pride person, so because I'm a pride, I cannot go lower than my level.
Mhm.
And then for me, that's a bad thing, that's a selfish thing. I think it's pride of the accomplishment that your son did.
Here, maybe the problem is language. Maybe the problem is we might be using the wrong word.
Could we say like
Anyway.
vaidade?
In any way, we need to analyze. When you're proud of your children's accomplishments, we also need to analyze. What do you mean by pride? Does that mean you're happy that your child accomplished something and that made them happy, that made them feel empowered? Or do you feel proud of your child because your child is better than anybody else's? So there's a difference there. So maybe the problem here is language. First, you need to analyze that feeling of pride.
Probably it's not the language, probably it's the context of where you're going to use that.
What I mean by language is you can still use you're proud of your son if your feeling is, ha ha, he's better than everybody else. That's still pride.
Yeah.
But if you're happy because now your child feels empowered, enabled, and it's going to be good for their self-esteem, then that's not pride. That means you're happy for your child. You are joining in your child's happiness.
Okay.
So this is
So
why
it's more
that's
like
what
a-
I mean by language. So first you
it's
need
more like
to
a
analyze what
concept.
you mean by proud.
Yes. It's more like the concept.
Yes, it's what's the root of
Yeah.
the feeling?
Correct.
Is it you're adding happiness to your child's happiness, or it's still vanity?
Yeah.
My child rocks. That makes all the difference.
Okay.
But saying I'm proud of my child, it's an easy escape. Because if someone says, "Oh, you're vain," you say, "No, I mean I'm happy." Right? So if someone accuses you of something, you can say, no, what I mean by proud is something else. So we need to analyze our feelings and we see what do I really mean by pride or proud. Let all your efforts tend to this end. This end is selfishness. For selfishness is the veritable, that means true, social gangrene. É a verdadeira gangrena social. Whoever would make, even in his earthly life, some approach towards moral excellence, must root out, tem que arrancar pela raiz, every selfish feeling from his heart. For selfishness is incompatible with justice, love, and charity. It neutralizes every good quality. That's serious business. Because when they say it neutralizes every good quality, that's a big punch. Because I have many virtues, I have lots of parts. I'm a little selfish, but everything else is fine. But it neutralizes all the other good qualities. And if we stop to think about it, we'll end up agreeing that it does.
I'm gonna share the refrigerator with Luis. 'Cause I'm not selfish.
So the selfish person generates a negative energy around themselves that isolates them from others. This isolation makes the selfish person feel so bad that due to envy and spite at this page, the person wants others to feel bad as well, so that they believe they are fine. It's the old, if you want to feel slim, go up with someone who is better than you. If you want to feel pretty, go up with someone who is uglier than you. It's pure selfishness. It's pure selfishness. Sometimes you are in such a big hole that all you want to do is pull someone and step on them to see them like lower than you, because at least you're above someone. And it's all based on selfishness. And when we talk about it here in a presentation and stuff, doesn't that sound horrible?
You just destroyed my entire life.
However, when we think about our own lives, don't raise your hands. Haven't we ever done this at some point? As kids, as teenagers? I'm not saying yes or no, maybe. But my proposal is, let's think about it. Because looking at this here, it sounds absolutely horrible. Who would ever do that? But we ourselves, in our ignorant past, might have done it. Maybe even without realizing, as kids or teenagers. Right? Because those are egotistic things. They are connected to our basic instincts, to reaction, right? And as we learn, as we study, and as we know better, we can change those. But we might have made quite a few of those in the past. So, it's just food for thought. For this reason, the selfish person wants their well-being before others, which in reality is a pseudo well-being, because nobody can be truly well causing others harm. Again, we can numb our conscience and say that we are fine, that we absolutely do not care about the other people's problems. But can we really be fine when our neighbors are not? We need to think about it. On the other hand, the person who loves themselves truly wishes their own well-being, but they also wish everyone can enjoy this well-being. Those situations when you're so happy that you feel like you have to spread the joy. You want everybody around you to be as happy as you. That's how we should feel all the time. No matter who is around me. No conditions. Even if it's the neighbor who hates me. Even if it's the person who I think is not worthy. The person might not be worthy. But we need to remember the love we give. If it finds no home, it comes back to us.
But at the same time, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
You are polite. You raised your hand.
That's the fight I have with the kids on Sundays.
No, just like what I was thinking is that at the same time there is a common sense that says like when you really like something or you're truly happy, like don't let other people know, because there is envy and jealousy and that can bring you down. But have you heard that?
Yes, so
Right?
so many times. Again,
Or it can be misunderstood as pride and vanity. So you should be humble and just keep it for yourself.
again, each one of us needs to analyze our own reasons, either for spreading the joy or for keeping it quiet. Am I keeping it quiet because I'm afraid someone is going to rain on my parade? Is my happiness so fragile that what someone says can destroy it? Those are things we need to think about, and it's a very personal thing.
But
So
they're
we
not
need to
that
know other
happy.
things. Okay, now it's gonna be Guilherme. No. First, the one who raised his hand. Okay, let's go.
Really short part. How do you understand that in the point of view regarding competition in the workplace? That was what I was wondering.
Wow.
it
Yeah,
is-
raising the bar.
I think the best way I can answer that question is think about, you're still super young, but let's hope you've been there. Haven't you ever had in the workplace some people who are so above everybody else? And I'm, hold on.
Checking point.
Sheesh.
How long you need?
About that half hour? No, I'm gonna cut it short.
Yeah, I hope so.
Haven't
We still
you
have
had
a movie
someone
to make.
who is so above someone else? And I am not talking technically, I'm talking morally. Let's talk of a leader. Let's speak of a leader. Haven't you ever met at work a leader who is morally so above everybody else that no matter what people do to try and, pull the rug from under their feet, they can't? Does that person have that same line of thought that I can't tell anybody how good or happy I am because someone is gonna rain on my parade? Do we open the door to be influenced by that kind of stuff? Does that kind of answer?
So, on the
Maybe, yeah.
By example, there's an opportunity.
Mhm.
You want that opportunity for yourself,
Yes,
not for job.
Yeah.
So, but that's at the same time is a competition. Because you
yes,
compete against it for the same thing. But the good thing would be able to share that with someone, but you can't. So what you should do? Because just for what?
why can't you?
Because you're in a position.
Hmm.
Right?
You do what you need to do. You apply for the position,
And if you are better.
yeah.
Sure.
But then again, if you get the position, how are you going to spread the news? Stepping on the guy who didn't get it? Or saying, congratulations for the good competition?
Sure.
It's all about how we, again, it goes back to Gabriela's question. It's not how people treat us. It's how we treat them back.
Sure.
It's how we react to the situation.
Mhm.
So you saying, oh, I'm not going to apply because my friend wants to apply, that doesn't make sense,
Sure. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But do it, do it in a moral way, respectfully. Don't be sleazy. Like, don't try to, say horrible things about the guy so that you get the spot. So
Yeah, no, that was not the point, right? Not competing with in that regard,
Mhm.
but having opportunity for everyone, not just for you.
yes,
But then if the opportunity is open
Yes.
and you are trying for that opportunity and you are, in my perspective, true with yourself and you know that there is other guy, there is nothing in this case that you can do. You are being true with yourself. You are competing for that, and it's like the better wins. Now it's you cannot control like what Ray is saying.
Yeah, what is available.
What is available, what the other guy is going to do, but of course that you will not share in this case because that's nothing to do with this. Share the knowledge and share all the things that you are doing to apply for that position.
not only that, some companies have specific policies. For example, when it's an internal opening, like you're not supposed to go telling everybody because the company doesn't want you to. So there are a lot of things related, but
Not getting into the company.
Okay.
That's a total moral concept, not a policy.
okay, the moral concept. Yeah, so it's how honorably you do it.
My question about that would be like different. For example,
Do you think maybe we can discuss this after, because we are really cutting short, and I need to go at least 2 more slides. Because I had 2 closing, so I need to get at least to the first one.
It's not her fault, Harry. It's our fault.
This happiness is the result of self-love. Can we give something we don't have? How can we love our neighbors when we don't love ourselves? Which generates fraternity and charity that lead human beings to such a state of conscience that they realize that only by giving happiness to others will they be truly achieving their own happiness. When everybody is happy around me, it's really hard to stay down, right? And, oops, sorry.
Yeah, self-love is completely opposite than selfish, but everybody sees that it's almost the same.
Exactly. So when we can't reach that level of conscience, because do we think we are at that level of conscience right now? Have we developed self-love that generates fraternity and charity and lead us to such a state of conscience? Why we don't get there? We are working to get there. That's exactly what we're doing here. We are working to get there. But why don't get there? What dictates our social relationships, unfortunately, is still selfishness. And selfishness is produced by the unconsciousness that ends up in indifference, pseudo-altruism. Why pseudo-altruism? Because I think I'm giving myself, but I'm not giving myself. I'm just bargaining. Please get me a house at Nosso Lar. And conscience anxiety. The whole, I have to do it, I have to do it, I have to do charity, I have to love my neighbor. So what we have here is where we should be, love. Then we have dislove. And we have pseudo-love. So love is where we should be. When we talk about this love can manifest in cruelty, violence, disrespect, aggressiveness, resentment, revenge, hate. Feelings that are really away from love, opposite of love, nowhere near love, right? So this is this love. This love also generates indifference. If you're not acting evil, you just step back and I don't care, right? So passiveness, not caring about what could happen to other people. So when we are indifferent to other people, who do we care about? If I don't care about others, I only care about myself, right? I don't care about anybody else. Nobody's paying my bills. So when we only care about our own well-being, we are ignoring other people's well-being and other people's needs. And this is a false well-being because we go back to what we just said. This is false because I can't expect to be on a pedestal looking at everybody miserable around and I am truly and completely happy. That's not how it goes. That's not what the planet is heading. We're heading to a planet of regeneration where the whole is supposed to be happier and better, not just 1 or 2 or 3, right?
We are only going to get there when
Mm-hmm.
we out the sun.
Yes, we have all been there. We have all been in the cruelty and in an indifferent state at some point in our existence. Maybe this life, probably not, but maybe this life, but before, definitely, right? So we have all been there, and we have all been in those phases of cruelty and indifference with more or less intensity. And right after a long period of Mainly indifference. What happens is the anxiety, because I feel guilty. Because I didn't care. I'm a monster. And then that leads me to guilt, conscious anxiety. It takes the person from one extreme to the other. From I don't care to I have to give my house to the poor. To, I have 4 bedrooms, so please send me 4 Syrian families. So we go from one extreme to the other. And what is that? That is pseudo love. While this love is very obvious, it's the opposite. It goes in the opposite direction of love. Pseudo love looks like it. So we end up, we feel the obligation to love our neighbors. It's the masked face of the ego. So it's sentimentalism. When I feel pity, I want to solve other people's problems. Because it's pseudo love, like I'm so much better financially. I have to help. I have to do something. I have to solve the world's problems. That's not true love. That's giving the fish, not teaching to fish. That's giving crumbs, crumbs migalha. That's giving crumbs and not enabling people to think for themselves, to work for their own evolution. We're not going to help in everybody's evolution by doing everything for them. So in order to transform these inclinations, it is fundamental that the person becomes fully conscious and aware of themselves, of their tendencies to, indifference, cruelty, or sentimentalism. It's a self-analysis. Am I in any of those movements? How do I get out of there? Okay, we're just going to finish by seeing a little passage from the Gospel according to Spiritism. Let us see what Spirit Lazarus says about duty in the Gospel according to Spiritism, chapter 17, item 7. And it's a long answer. I just got a few bits and pieces, okay? Duty is a moral obligation. Firstly, to ourselves, then others. We have a moral obligation to ourselves first, to develop our own virtues first. And then our duty is to others. Saving my neighbor doesn't buy me anything. Developing the virtues I need to support my neighbor and help my neighbor get to where he or she needs to be, that is real help. Not doing any work for them. Duty is a law of life encountered in the smallest details as well as in the most elevated acts. Within the order of sentiments, duty is a very difficult one to fulfill because it finds itself in antagonism with the seductions of the interest and of the heart. Someone is inviting me to go to the mountains next Sunday. I really want to go. I know I should be, helping let's not even go there. I know my son has a big project at school. Do I help my son do the project and fulfill my parent duty? Oh no, I really want to go to the mountains. It's going to be so much fun. I can't miss it. A lot of people are going and they're going to be talking about it and I'll be completely out of the picture. I don't want to feel left out. I want to go. I want to do it. Right? This one, I'm sure, not only we have all been there, we're there constantly. We're constantly having to make choices. And nobody's saying you can't have fun or anything. It's just a matter of weighing what is beneficial to you, what are the real benefits of, seductions of interest and seductions of the heart and the duty. So again, nobody's saying we can't have fun. It's just that we really need to consider the benefits that are going to come from each of our choices, right? Man's intimate duty is left to his free will. We can always choose. The pressure of man's conscience, this guardian of interior integrity, guardian is the conscience, alerts and sustains him, but shows itself frequently impotent against the deceptions of passion. Duty of the heart, when faithfully observed, elevates man. But how can we define it with exactitude? So here it says, duty of the heart, when faithfully observed. When I have those two choices, I want to go to mountains, I want to help my child. When I choose to help my child, but I'm not doing it for my heart, I'm not doing it from the understanding that it's good, it's necessary, he needs me. When I'm doing it like, damn it, I'm doing it because if I don't, other people are going to think I'm a bad parent. That is not faithfully doing it. That's not faithfully observing it. It only works if I do it from the heart, from an open heart. If I make the right choice for the wrong reason, again, good intention, bad direction. And then I'm annulling, I'm canceling what I did, right? Because it's not from the heart. So how do we define duty with exactitude? I promise this is the last. Where does duty begin? Where does it end? Duty begins exactly at the point where the happiness or tranquility of our neighbor is threatened, and therefore terminates at the limit where we would not wish to be passed. At the limit where we would not wish to be passed in relation to ourselves. Translating, when we get to the point that someone is doing to us what we don't want them to do to us. Oh, isn't it funny? We're back to do unto others as you would have others do unto you. That also defines our duty. That's also where our duty starts and ends. By doing unto others as we would have others do unto us. Right? Okay, I know I said that was the last, but this one is the last because it's a summary of what we just said. Lazarus makes it clear that duty comes from our own conscience and begins within ourselves. The exercise of conscientious duty stimulates us to reach for wellness, goodness, and beauty. No, we can clap at ourselves when we start exercising what we can choose.
I'm not proud of you, I'm happy for you.
See, that analyze what you mean by I'm proud of you. Okay. Say, did you do the final prayer there with the kids? Do you want to do the past first, final prayer first? What do you want to do?
Oh, can go for the final prayer here and I'll go to the class.
So let's do our final prayer. Let's close our eyes. Dear Lord, once again we thank you for the lessons we had today, for the knowledge we had the opportunity to reflect on today, for the opportunity that we have to rethink our feelings, our attitudes, our lives, how we see ourselves and our neighbors, how we treat ourselves and our neighbors. Dear Father, we ask that from what we saw today, we might be able to reflect on it, and we might be able to change and transform those things within ourselves that we know are not according. We also thank you for the knowledge we acquired today, that no matter what happens, when we love, that love comes back to us. And even if the person doesn't want that love, they are still benefiting from our love. So our love is precious, and it's within us to be given. Dear Lord, we also thank you for all the months we were able to spend here at this location. So blessed we did here, and how blessed we have been so far in the Fraternity Spiritus Society of Calvary journey. We thank you that today we start a new chapter in our short history. We thank all the friends who have volunteered, who worked yesterday, who volunteered to work here today with us. Without our members, our friends, there would be no Spiritus Society. So we thank you, and we ask that the mentors of this house keep blessing us, helping us, guiding our work, so that we can always have our doors open to comfort all the brothers and sisters who come to us. May all of us, as a united group, be able to welcome all those who come to us. And may we always be fraternal, loving. May we always be able to work and develop our virtues, not just in our regular lives, but mainly and mostly here while we are together as a big family. So
Já tenemos el coordenador. a gente vai fazer a mudança agora, então a ideia é dividir em 2 times. Um time começa a descer já as coisas, não precisa encaixotar e etc. E outro time fica encaixotando e auxiliando, disponível na biblioteca, que eu acho que vai dar um pouco mais de trabalho. Enquanto isso, eu vou lá buscar o caminhão. Você vai ali comigo, amor?
Vou.
Levar.